Last night's proceedings feel like a dream in the morning. The king reviews the situation with the counselors, and after hearing testimony from Fritz, Jurian, and I, he sentences the knights to a lifetime in prison, at the very least. The countess has been offered a room in our palace for a few days. Last I heard, she is resting in her room and recuperating from the trauma of last night. Even the masquerade feels like a dream. In the morning, everyone is exhausted, with the exception of two people, Claude and Lance.
You absolutely must fight me. I will not leave Angielle until we spar.
Okay. I mean, actually, seeing a sword fight between the two of you would be a sight to see. I would be down for that.
Sorry, Your Highness, but I have a very tight schedule.
His eyes flicker to me, and I can see the mischief in them. I know Fritz does not have so much on his plate that he cannot spar with Claude. No, he just wants to avoid Claude's melodrama.
But this is a gentleman's challenge. One does not turn down a gentleman's challenge.
On the contrary, one has the responsibility to turn down a gentleman's challenge if it comes from a man that is not a gentleman.
Oh, get hecked!
You stay out of this, Llama.
Claude and Lance are our esteemed guests for the following week. Though I have no doubt Claude's dramatics will tire me out by the end of the week, I cannot help but be glad to see him again. His exuberance is contagious. Emmeline especially is excited the two princes are staying longer, one in particular. She has been stealing glances across the table at Lance all morning. Even now, she twirls her hair around her finger as she shoots another nervous smile at Lance. When she notices me staring, she turns away with a flush.
Do you really plan on ignoring me, Lord Fitzgerald?
Oh, were you saying something?
Such a cruel man you are.
Please ignore him, Lord Fitzgerald. He thrives off of attention.
I only wanted to see who the superior swordsman was.
Fritz is a very capable swordsman. He was the commander of the Order of Caldera, after all.
Bah, that means nothing.
Claude has not changed at all.
Lord Fitzgerald fights with a purpose, not just for the sake of being dramatic.
You're just jealous you're not good with a sword, Llama.
Too soon. Emmeline gives Claude a withering look. Go, Emmeline! Support your boy.
Prince Lance is good at many other things, like dancing and chess and...
She blushes when she notices everyone staring at her. You brought out his sparkles.
Truly, you are far too kind to me, Princess Emmeline.
The familiar banter continues throughout breakfast. Thankfully, no one brings up the incident from yesterday. At the end of breakfast, I take Fritz's hand and allow him to lead me into the corridor. The two of us are on our way to my bedroom when someone appears in the corridor. Oh, Celeste! Princess Lucette! The Countess, Lady Celeste, appears before us, a brilliant smile on her face. 1,000 blessings upon you this morning. And to you. To what do I owe the pleasure? I am glad I stumbled into you. The king told me you planned on giving a speech to the populace on the divide between humans and witches. Would I be able to help you with it? The king called her here for just that reason. Her input will be extremely invaluable. Of course. Perhaps we could meet in the dining hall. Wonderful! I also wanted to say... She grasps my free hand. I flinch at her touch, but do not pull my hand away. I wanted to thank you again for your assistance. I also wanted to tell you I have faith in you as Angielle's future queen. What? I know of the rumors around Angielle. I know many witches blame you for what happened, but... The Countess shakes her head. I believe you are not only worthy, but overqualified to be queen. You are a noble spirit, and you will be an amazing queen. That That is kind of you to say. I can barely form words of gratitude, overwhelmed as I am by her compliments. The Countess laughs.
Have faith, Princess Lucette. People's hearts can be changed. There is good and there is evil in this world, but there is also so much more. People are complex and susceptible to change.
She leaves on that sentiment, leaving me alone with Fritz. After she has left, he raises his eyebrows at me and smiles that cocky smile of his.
Well?
Well, what?
Do you have more faith in yourself now? I told you that you were good at what you do.
I nudge him. That, my lord, is a matter of opinion. Fritz leans down to kiss my forehead.
I'm afraid your say on the subject doesn't count because you're biased. But...
He pulls a strand of hair back behind my ear.
I would like your opinion on some other things. Like my list for the future, for instance. You're still going to help me write it, aren't you?
It would be an honor. He smiles at me softly.
The honor is all mine, milady.
The two of us share a smile and a kiss before we head on our way. You guys are so cute. I really like your relationship together. It's done very well. Amor Winkit Omnia, I think is how you say that. The corridor is quiet at this time of night. The only sounds the footsteps of the patrolling guards. I am on my way back to my bedroom after an exhausting day of meetings, speeches, and conferences. I am always out late these days, a result of my many meetings with the counselors, the witch representatives, and, well, everyone else. Though Fritz has taken to sitting beside me at these meetings as a show of goodwill, he is absent more often than not, busy doing volunteer work around Angielle and assisting others with construction work and errands. The volunteer work is his personal way of showing commitment to the people of Angielle. It was one of the most important goals on his to-do list for the future. Nice. There is one thing on his list, however, that is reserved just for me. We usually save that activity for our nightly get-togethers, but tonight is different. Fritz told me earlier he had something special he wanted to show me. Father was nice enough to let me excuse myself early. I've been wondering, I'm like, are we getting proposals? It's been a thing. Except for Claude's route, but we were already engaged, so we had a wedding. But I'm like, is this a thing? I stop in front of my door with a smile. I am glad Father approves of Fritz enough to help me carve out time for him. When I come into the bedroom, the first thing I notice is Fritz sitting by my window, a book in one hand and a handful of chocolates in the other. I eye the glass jar beside him, which is conspicuously only half full. A week ago, I started filling it with chocolate because I know Fritz has a sweet tooth, but you ate half a glass jar of chocolate? I did not think I was going to have to refill it every day. Fritz looks up abruptly.
Oh, Lucette!
He subtly tries to drop the handful of chocolates back into the glass jar.
Bonum Vesper.
I blank for a few moments as I try to recall the meaning of the words. Bonum Vesper? Fritz moves to sit on my bed and pats the space beside him.
Good evening. Do you remember what salve means?
That one is easy. It means hello.
That's right. And carpe diem.
YOLO. That one is an expression that means... I sigh as I plop down on the bed beside him and rest my head on his shoulder. By the way, I know it doesn't actually mean YOLO. I just said that for the lols. How nice of you to quiz me now, when I can barely think straight.
They say the best way to remember a language is to keep repeating the words.
That is not how adiuva stuck in my mind.
That word was a special case.
2 years ago, Fritz taught me that word so that I would have a special way to call him to my side. Back then, I had no idea he could read languages to be closer to his mother. I had no idea he was trying to keep me close by teaching me that word too. But now, I smile. It has been a few months since Fritz suggested we learn this language together. He wanted to do something special with me. That's very sweet. Because he enjoyed languages so much, he suggested learning the foreign language he had been studying before. I am glad that this is something the two of us can do together. Because really, if I could, I would do everything with Fritz. We both promised each other that we would do just that 2 years ago. And though the years pulled us apart, we have since been able to reconnect. He has been so much happier recently. We both have. You guys worked out a lot of stuff in your relationship, in the kingdom, mostly amongst yourselves, both separately and as a couple. It was really good to see. Today has been a long day, so how about we only review a few phrases before we do what it is you wanted to do tonight? I glanced at the book, expecting it to be open to the page we stopped on. Instead, I am surprised to see an envelope tucked between the pages. What's this?
Oh, the king personally delivered it to me earlier.
I pull the envelope out from between the pages and turn it over in my hands. It is addressed to Fritz and is from an unknown address. Did your dad write? Who wrote it? Fritz takes the envelope from my hands, opens it, and pulls out the letter inside. He begins to read it aloud. I knew. I'm like, the only thing missing from this is you figuring things out with your dad. Like, that's the last big... I don't know if it's the last big step, but it's a big step that you have to take to kind of make peace with your past and move forward to who you want to become as a person. So I'm glad that they added this. That was going to be a thing I was going to add at the end of I'm like, the only thing that would have been like really good is Alcaster and Fritz like working out their issues. So kudos.
To Fritz, my son.
I nearly slapped the letter out of Fritz's hands, but managed to restrain myself. The letter is, sure enough, from his banished father, Alcaster. It is a letter filled with apologies, though I doubt the sincerity of the words. Well, he's had a couple of years to think about it. Doesn't negate everything he did at all, but it's interesting. At the end of the letter is a request to meet in Brugantia. What are you going to do? I want to keep Fritz here. I want to force him to burn the letter so that I do not have to worry about Alcaster scheming again. So that I do not have to worry about him using Fritz to get what he wants. But this is Fritz's decision to make. This is his life. He must do what he feels is right.
I think I'm going to see him.
Fritz pulls me closer and plants a kiss on top of my head.
Don't look so glum, Lucette. You remember what I said about my mother?
That you received no closure with her. Fritz nods.
I don't want that to be what happens between my father and I. I'm not his shadow anymore. I'm my own person. I'm strong enough to face him. And I want to face him. I want to show him that I'm not like him.
The words ease something in me, and I sigh without realizing. Fritz smiles.
Will you come with me?
Of course. I will personally strangle Alcaster if he says the wrong thing.
That's my ice princess. Perfectly regal and perfectly terrifying.
He laughs when I nudge him.
Anyway, let's put aside the specifics of that meeting until later.
He slides the letter out of the book and sets it on my bedside table. The motion makes my heart swell with pride. Fritz has come a long way. I have never been so proud of him.
So, getting back to our lesson. Ah, here. Tell me what this phrase means. Amor vincit omnia.
You've taught me that one before.
Oh?
Love conquers all. I flick his forehead. Now I shall be the forehead flicker. You really are forgetful.
Sorry, I wasn't sure about that one because I haven't heard it in one of your speeches yet.
He grins at me and I blush. 2 months ago, when the two of us started learning the language together, I gave a speech to the townspeople about bridging the divide between witches and humans. Back then, I used one of the foreign words Fritz taught me. Carpe diem. He was proud that I had used it, but he hasn't stopped teasing me about it since it happened. That was months ago!
And I've been waiting impatiently for an encore ever since.
I reach forward to snap the book shut, cheeks still warm. I think that's enough for tonight.
But I haven't even taught you anything.
You called me here early because you said you had something to show me, correct? I stand and heft a hand on my hip. Fritz looks at me for a few moments, thoughtful. It may just be my imagination, but his expression seems terse, if not anxious. Fritz? After a few moments, the anxiety fades, replaced with a soft glimmer of confidence.
I'm ready.
What?
To take you to that place I want you to see.
He stands up and takes my hand.
It's a surprise, so I'm going to blindfold you at some point. Are you okay with that?
Well, that brings back memories. You asked me after you already planned this out?
You trust me, don't you?
With my life.
Then there won't be any problems.
He squeezes my hand as the two of us head out and into the corridor. Alright, what you got planned? I'm excited. I am surprised when Fritz bypasses all of the palace corridors, leads me through a quiet street in town, and then all the way to the forest. We are only just at the outskirts when he holds out a blindfold to me.
May I?
Do you not think anyone at the palace will worry about us? Fritz's smile never falters.
No, I don't.
Maybe he already spoke to them about this. I relax as Fritz ties the blindfold around my eyes. For a few moments, there is nothing but the warmth of his chest against my back and the feelings of his fingers ghosting over my arms. He leans down to plant a kiss at the nape of my neck and then grabs my hand. He begins to lead me forward, walking more slowly so that I can keep up. Is this really necessary?
Absolutely.
I can hear the smile in his words. I remember 2 years ago, it took me a long time to trust Fritz. So long, in fact, that I feared I would never trust him again. Yet, here we are. I hold tightly to Fritz's hand as he leads me down the forest paths. On the occasion we run into an obstacle, Fritz pauses to move it out of the way or to help me duck under some branches. Are we almost there?
Fiere.
What does that mean?
Almost.
His fingers tighten around mine. For a few moments, I think I can feel his hand quivering in mine, but it's probably just my imagination. Eventually, we stop. Fritz takes a deep breath, then slides his hand out of mine. Fritz?
You can take off the blindfold now, Lucette.
I do not know why, but my heart is thudding loudly in my chest as I pull the blindfold from my eyes. The first sight that greets me is the most vibrant, lovely thing I have ever beheld. Wow! This is straight up anime. Oof. Now this is competing for my favorite CG. That is beautiful. The forest is filled with soft white lilies. Everywhere I look, I see them. There are so many, in fact, that petals rain down from the branches, covering me in what feels like delicate snow. I stare at everything in amazement, and then suddenly my eyes are on Fritz. He is standing in front of me holding a beautiful lily bouquet. What is all of this?
A night I hope you remember.
Fritz hands me the bouquet with a gentle smile.
I've wanted to do something like this for a while. Only I hadn't summed up the courage to do it until now. I'm decent with a sword, but I've had to practice things like this.
Things like this? Fritz looks at me with a sheepish smile on his face.
Years ago, when you told me that you loved me, and when I told you that I loved you as well, I was only able to say it because you told me first. For the longest time, I was always afraid I wouldn't be good enough for you, that I could no longer be your knight in shining armor if I gave up my title. But now I feel differently.
He gestures to the bouquet. I gaze down at the clump of beautiful flowers and sigh. It's beautiful, Fritz. And you have always been good enough for me. I didn't see it at first because of my own stubbornness, but there is no one I would rather have by my side. I was wondering, I'm like, do you have a ring hidden in the bouquet? I touch one of the lilies and pause as a glimmer between the petals catches my eye. Slowly, I reach in toward it. My fingers close over something round and cool, something that makes my fingers prickle with anticipation. What? Before I can say anything else, Fritz is suddenly down on one knee in front of me. He holds one of my hands in his own.
Fritz! Lucette, I don't have the regal upbringing of a prince, and for the longest time, I was afraid I could never stand as your equal, but...
He squeezes my hand.
I love you too much to not want to improve myself.
His cheeks are flushed crimson.
Because, Lucette, you are my foundation. You are my past, my present, and I would love for you to be my future.
He kisses my hand.
I love you. I have for a very long time. And if you would still like to marry me, as you said 2 years ago, even if I am no longer your knight, I would very much like to put this ring on your finger.
I feel tears at the edges of my eyes, but I do not reach up to rub them off my cheeks. I do not mind being honest in front of Fritz. I have seen all of his sides. Why should he not see all of mine?
Princess Lucette Riella Brighton, would you do me the honor of allowing me to become your husband?
I collapse to my knees so that I can wrap my arms around his neck and bury my head into his shoulder. You are supposed to ask me to do you the honor of becoming your wife. And yes, I would be honored. Fritz sets a hand to the small of my back and pulls me closer.
I assure you I phrase it that way on purpose, my beautiful princess. Because to me, the greatest honor of my life has and will always be being by your side. You have shown me that love can conquer all.
I manage a breathy chuckle as Fritz leans over to take the ring from my hand and slip it onto my finger. It gleams on my finger perfectly, like it was meant to be there. Amor vincit omnia.
That's right.
He pulls me toward him, and in the quiet of the clearing, there's just the two of us sharing the warmth of our combined embrace. Does my family know?
Of course. I already told them about all of this. His Highness said it was fine, so long as you pretend to be surprised when I make the public announcement.
I cannot help but laugh. I think I prefer something personal like this.
As do I. I always did prefer having you to myself.
He cups my face in his hands. He places a kiss on my forehead, then on my nose. And then lastly, he presses a kiss to my lips, and the kiss is filled with so much hope and longing that I cannot help but become lost in it. When it is over, he presses his forehead to mine.
Thank you for helping me become a better man.
And thank you for helping me become a better woman. I love you, Fritz.
I love you too, Lucette. Forever and always.
He starts to laugh. As always, his laughter is full of so much joy it lifts my heart. I want to hear it for the rest of my life. And now I'll be able to. Is it over? Can I finally squee? Whitehaven! Ah! Squee! That whole proposal like that is so beautiful. That was such a beautiful moment. Now that's how you do a proposal. Dang it, man. That was beautiful. The words, the setting, the way you hid the ring and the flowers. Flawless. Absolutely flawless, my boy. I'm so proud of both of you. Oh, you guys grew. You guys grew. I am so happy with how that route ended up. Oh, gosh. I don't even know what to say. It was really... The only thing was, it was really weird not having a lot of characters around, but I was okay with it. It worked for the story they told here. But it was just strange after the last 3 routes to be like, well, you get like a random waltz scene, you get a random chevalier scene, a couple random things with family. But like these two, they killed it together. They worked out their problems together. Their individual problems, their couple problems. Man, that was fantastic. Alright, you guys were right. I was gonna like this. Even through the heart clenches of the Varg stuff. They implemented the Varg personality into Fritz super well. I totally bought they are now one. My heart is soothed knowing this. I can finally heal from the trauma of 4 years ago. I do still like Varg as himself more, I think, than him incorporated into Fritz, weirdly enough. But I am satisfied. I am very, very satisfied with how they incorporated him into Fritz's personality, and I totally buy it. I'm extremely happy. I just don't know where to put... I don't know what to do with my list. I mean, man, it's so funny. Chev and Fritz's roots are almost like kind of polar opposites of each other, but I love them both for different ways and similar ways. And I just, oh gosh. I don't know. I gotta think about this. I got some thinking to do. And I haven't even got to Waltz the Big yet. That's gonna be like a whole nother thing I gotta think about, probably. Because that boy, ugh. He stole my heart and ran away with it in the first game, so... got high expectations for that guy. Yeah. What a journey. That was fantastic. I'm grinning over here like an idiot. Do we have a wolf thing? A mask? What is it? What's the stationery? Lucette, hit me with that stationery. What you got? What you got? Ah, Little Red Riding Hood, of course. How could I have forgotten the basis of the entire curse for him? Yes, of course, Little Red Riding Hood. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed Fritz's route. I certainly did. What a fantastic ride that was. I will stop gushing because I think I've gushed enough through the credits. And I'll just say I have a lot of soul searching to do. Anyway, that was his best ending. We have a good ending with Fritz to do next, so that should be interesting. I don't know what we're going to get with that, but we shall see. Hopefully I will see you over there for that, guys. But either way, thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, I will see you later.